Hey fermenters, today I'm going to show you how to make fire cider or master tonic. Now this is something that's especially helpful during cold and flu season. At the onset of feeling any kind of symptoms, I usually take about a shot of this stuff, and you'll know why by the end. A shot is enough, and it usually kind of keeps all that stuff at bay. There's a lot of antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral properties of this elixir. So let's get started. So as you can see from the ingredients, they're all very powerful substances. We've got ginger root, we've got onion, we've got garlic, and various chili peppers, and also horseradish. So basically we're going to chop these up, combine them, put them in an infusion of vinegar, and wait about a month, and that will create our fire cider. So pretty easy to remember. To make about 2 cups, which we're going to steep them in a quart-sized jar or a liter-sized jar. Just chop the ingredients up and put them in the jar, pour the vinegar over them, bada bing, bada boom, shake it every couple of days or so, and we'll have our cider. So I'm just going to take some ginger root. I like to use a kitchen scale for most things. Again, right around 100 grams of each ingredient, give or take. So I'm going to use, let's see what we got here. It's like about 83 or so, 85 grams. For the ginger root, if it's organic, I don't bother peeling it. If it's not organic, if I'm not using organic ginger, I will peel it first. So you can just rough chop it. Now the smaller you chop these vegetables, the more surface area you're exposing, and therefore the more strong the tonic's going to be. So it's really up to you. You can do as little as, kind of a rough chop like this. You can even put the ingredients into a food processor and pulse it a few times. Today I'm just going to do the rough chop, get it down to somewhere between a 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch dice size. And this is not an exact science here because we're basically just going to extract all of the goodness during the steeping period. So kind of see that's where I've got with my ginger root. Just going to just add it directly to the jar here. Next ingredient is the horseradish. And you be careful with this because this stuff is very volatile, especially when you wet it. That's what activates the ingredients, the active ingredients for it. And with horseradish, because it does grow right in the ground, you do want to scrub it pretty good. Again, I don't bother peeling it because at the end we're not eating this stuff. We're just going to be drinking the liquid that's steeps in. But just make sure there aren't any visible dirty spots on it. This has been pretty clean. So I'm just going to again rough chop it. Again, so there's my horseradish. Managed to avoid inhaling a big whiff, so that's always good. Focusing issues here. All right, next ingredient is our white onion. And again, about 100 grams of this, which is about probably 1/3 of an onion or so. So if I used about a third of this already, so if I weigh it now, it's about 230. So if I use about half of this, then I should be right in the ballpark. And there you go. There it goes, a little bit of a latent tearful reaction, but no worries. And this is next ingredient is garlic. So I was fortunate enough to grow garlic in my garden this year. So this is fresh out of the garden. Well, it's been cured a couple of months, but it was grown in about 50 feet that way. So I'm just going to tediously peel this and then chop it roughly. All right, I'm going to rough chop the garlic like the other ingredients. Some pieces are already small enough. I'm just going to toss them in. The last vegetable we're going to put in is chili peppers, and they can be quite irritating if you get them on your skin, especially if you get them in your eyes. So I do like to don rubber gloves when I'm working with jalapenos or other hot peppers. Now these rubber gloves are dedicated towards food, so obviously I'm not scrubbing my sinks with them. This is a dedicated pair, so I highly recommend that. It'll save you on having to buy disposable gloves, and good for the environment. All right, so again, about 90 or 100 grams or so of peppers, and I typically will weigh them and then sort of overweigh them because we're going to be cutting out the stems and some of the seeds. So you got about 4. Let's see, try to find that little guy in here. So here we go, about 120 grams. Now that's before I cut them. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the stems off, and we're going to then slice them lengthwise so you can expose the seeds in the membrane, which contain the most capsaicin, which is the hot part of the chili pepper. So, typically what I'll do is I will just scoop out the membranes and the seeds if I want to reduce the amount of heat that's in the whatever it is I'm using them in. Now with fire cider, because we already have so many antimicrobial properties, it doesn't need to also have the seeds in there. I mean, certainly there are some merit to keeping the heat in there, but if you don't like hot food, then you'll still get the benefits of fire cider without also burning your mouth. But if you like spicy, go ahead and leave them in there. Again, this is only something you're going to take as medicine, so it'll only burn for a minute, as they say. All right, so I've got my peppers. Go ahead and discard the seeds in the membrane. And again, I'm just going to roughly chop them. Ooh, a little bit of that stuff getting to you. All right, so we've got our hot peppers. Add those to the jar. All right, so the final ingredient, of course, is the vinegar. Now you can certainly use kombucha if you'd like. I would recommend using pretty ripe kombucha, or even kombucha vinegar, which is literally just that. So it's kombucha that's been fermented so much that there's no sugars left in it. All it's got is the various organic acids. So I just have some raw apple cider vinegar, and I'm just going to top up the jar here. So it's going to be about 2 cups or 16 ounces. And yeah, basically you just want to top it all the way up. Probably going to use the rest of this bottle here. Just fill it all the way up to the top here. Going to get right to 16 ounces, which is perfect. And then just close the lid. Tightly close the lid. I'm just going to use the metal lid here on the ring. Seal it tightly. Now this is not strictly a fermentation per se. It's really more of an infusion. I mean, it might actually ferment a little bit because, again, there's a lot of good bacteria already present on these vegetables. Especially if you're using kombucha, there might be some residual yeast and bacteria. But I wouldn't worry about it too much as far as like, blowing up like if you left kombucha unattended. So, but do check on it. I like to keep it in a conspicuous place, and I like to shake it about every day, and that's going to just, I'm just going to get the ingredients kind of infused in there, and then wait about a month, and then after that, strain it out. And I'll probably do a follow-up video with the strain out portion of it. One final thing I always advocate is to label your jars, not only with what it is, but what the date is, so that you know and you can keep track of your ferments. I have my jars labeled. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my shelf here. And again, right in a conspicuous place so that I remember to shake it up about every day or so. And we'll check back on this in about a month.